Hi everyone, this is Dan for thecreativemusician.net, and I'm just bringing you a short video today about a couple different major microphone types and how they can be used for your home studio recording setup. So let's get started today. Alright, so getting started, there are two main types of microphone that are commonly used. There's condenser microphones and dynamic microphones. Now, as a third sort of subcategory, there are ribbon microphones, but I'm not going to talk about those in this video today. They're sort of a combination of the two of those microphones with pros and cons of each of that. So let's just stick to the basics for today's exercise. All right, so condenser mics do tend to be quite sensitive and they will pick up all of the subtleties in your recordings. Now they generally are used for recording vocals as well as acoustic instruments. They're used as drum overheads to sort of capture the sound of your cymbals and also to capture the full sound of a recording room. So they do have a wide range of applications, and generally speaking, they're the most popular type of microphone used in a recording setting. Now, there are a couple drawbacks to using condenser microphones. The first is that they do have a lower sound pressure level rating, which basically means that it takes less input for these type of microphones to clip. So that basically means if you're singing at a certain volume and you kind of cross that threshold, you will clip the microphone. Now, condenser mics are often quite fragile, so it doesn't take much to damage them. Even one fall off of a stand can damage them quite seriously and render them useless. So basically, a large diaphragm, a condenser, in a cardioid pattern is going to be your best bet if you're just getting started. And the reason being is it has a really nice pickup pattern, and it will take input sources from this direction, and it will sort of have much more rejection from the back of the microphone. So that basically means you're going to get a really nice presence from the front of the microphone, whereas from the back, it's going to have more rejection. So you're not going to get as much bleed from the back. I mean, it's really quite a diverse microphone and can be used for a multitude of different applications. So a great mic to check out. Generally speaking, condenser mics do come with shock mounts such as this that'll just mount to a stand, and basically they really do help sort of avoid any unwanted noise if the microphone is moved a slight amount or if there's any vibrations coming up the floor through the mic stand. So it will help to reduce any unwanted noise in your recordings. All right, another thing that's absolutely necessary when getting started is a pop filter such as this. It's basically just a screen that prevents any plosives in your recording. So that basically avoids any P's or T's from distorting the sound of the microphone. And basically it will clean out and smooth out your vocal tracks. Now, one thing worth noting, they do require phantom power. Now, this is a power source that is sent through the microphone cable. I will say, however, that most recording interfaces that are on the market today do include phantom power, and it's usually just an on-off switch. So just ensure that you do have phantom power in your interface if you do plan to do any recording with a condenser mic. So condenser microphones do tend to be more responsive in a room setting, do tend to pick up more of an overall sound of an area. This basically just means you'll have to be more conscious of where you're placing a condenser mic, the acoustics of the room in which that mic is being recorded in, as well as your technique while using the mic. So, these are a few things you will have to consider if you do plan to use a condenser mic. Now moving on, the other type of microphone I did want to have a chat with you about today was dynamic microphones. Now these microphones are most commonly used for louder sound sources. Now they also have a better rejection, which means they won't pick up as much bleed from the room or room noise. These type of microphones, they do have a higher sound pressure level rating, which basically means they can tolerate more input source before they start to distort. So generally speaking, for best results, a dynamic mic is placed usually within 6 to 8 inches of the sound source, sometimes even closer. So I will say that dynamic microphones are much less sensitive to the acoustics of a room as long as you're using them sort of quite close to a sound source. So just to recap, condenser microphones tend to be a bit more sensitive with a larger sort of field of view. They tend to have lower sound pressure ratings, which means you need to be a bit more careful with how much input you're driving. They tend to be a bit softer sounding, but as a trade-off, they can be a bit more fragile, they're easy to break, and they tend to cost a bit more. They also do require phantom power, so these are things to sort of consider. Dynamic mics, on the other hand, can handle a bit louder sound source. They're better suited for recording, loud guitar cabinets, drums, so on and so forth. They will, on the other hand, have different sound characteristics to condenser microphones. They may not sound as clear or as precise. Dynamic microphones do not require phantom power. That is something to consider as well. Both condenser and dynamic mics can be used together for a bunch of different applications. It's important to remember that one microphone won't be suitable for every single task and every situation. So having a couple different microphone types can be really beneficial depending on what you're recording and what your sort of plan is for your studio. So just keep that in mind. Well, hopefully you found this video helpful today. If you did, feel free to pop a comment down below, like and subscribe for more. Again, I'm Dan for thecreativemusician.net. We'll see you again.